Welcome to ASP Stuff Radio, the internet radio show filled with fake real news and post-Thanksgiving turkey stuffing, but not the kind of stuffing that came from your masturbated turkeys. Tonight is Thursday, December 1st. Joining me today are your truth seeker experts, Steveocrates and Paulato. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Almost 3 weeks.
A lot has happened since then.
Yeah, a lot since the election, presidential election.
We missed Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we didn't have our Thanksgiving show.
Didn't talk about masturbating turkeys.
No.
Okay.
Turkey inseminator.
Yeah, I really wanted to use my turkey sound effect.
Masturbate male turkeys.
So is that the sound that turkeys make after? Yeah.
That's what happens.
Masturbate male turkeys.
There it is.
Did you have a master?
That's the takeaway for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. How
So
was
did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. I didn't have to worry about eating any fondled turkeys.
Masturbated fondled turkeys.
I had a vegetarian lasagna and some mock meat roast with vegetables. Mashed
Sounds
potatoes,
very good.
green beans.
Look like there's a lot of squash in that lasagna.
Yeah, I had carrots, onions, mushrooms, zucchini.
Very earthy or hearty.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Did you enjoy your meat?
Gorged myself with
masturbated turkey.
You gorge yourself with masturbated turkeys?
No, but it was non-masturbated, non-GMO masturbated.
It said that on the label.
Non-masturbated.
Stamped for approval.
This turkey has not been inseminated.
It was really good.
Gotta read the fine print. Gotta look for that.
Well, I did have a turkey game I wanted to play, a philosophy ethics turkey game. Since we couldn't do it last week, I figured we'll do it tonight.
Are we gonna start the show with the game, or
we'll do it at the end.
Reverse?
We always save fun for the end. Fun for the end.
Let's get down to business first.
Okay. Gotta grind through the depressing stuff.
It's really depressing stuff lately.
A lot of stuff going on here. I don't know what to do. I want to do the story on the fake news stories, but Steveocrates and Paulato say that's old news.
It's old news, but it's still relevant.
It's still relevant. I think this is very problematic.
No, but it's old, but it's an oldie but goodie.
Uh-oh, Steven's having some turkey masturbated stuffing in his throat.
It's not me, it's Bill Gates.
So this issue is deeply disturbing, at least for philosophers.
It's a conundrum.
It is a conundrum. Let's first talk about how lying works. When you tell a lie, when is it a successful lie?
When you get what you want.
You get what you want. So you tell a lie to somebody, and they believe you. Now, why do you think they believed you? Why do you think they believed your lie?
Like George Costanza said, it's not a lie if you believe it.
If you believe it, exactly.
Jerry, just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
So what that suggests is that lying only works in the context of truth-telling. People believe your lies because, in general, people believe that other people are telling you the truth. So they take for what you say as if it were the truth. But now let's assume that there's this law where everyone's allowed to tell a lie. Okay, you're allowed to lie to people whenever you want to achieve some personal gain. Now, if that were a universal law, then everyone would regularly tell lies. Therefore, no one would believe anything you have to say. Even if you genuinely tell the truth, you would have no good reason to believe.
Is this like the boy who cried wolf story?
Yeah, there you go. The boy who cried wolf. If I asked Steveocrates, hey, can I borrow $10? And I say, I promise I'll pay you back, would you believe me? Would you have any good reason to believe that I'll pay you back?
Maybe at first.
No, but if everyone's regularly telling lies, would you believe me?
No.
Probably not. That's what's going on here with the fake news crisis.
Well, you're talking about strictly just the media.
The media. Yeah, the mass media.
Yeah.
Is it the mass media or certain types of media?
the mainstream media.
Well, a lot of
creating
that has
the
to do with
idea.
social media too, right? Or no?
Well, the mainstream media is reporting
What these other people are
Or
reporting, the
independent-
social media people.
social media.
Because
that-
there's no difference now, really. Mainstream media is just a bigger form of social media.
so I just
Well, not in certain cases. In certain cases, these are paid people.
Yeah, but they're spewing out news that comes from places like Facebook.
No. I mean, that one story, that wasn't necessarily the case. This Republican quote from Trump, I think that was a paid story.
so that turned out to be a false story. It wasn't real.
And I think there was some killing, like Hillary Clinton had killed off somebody right before the election, and that was a paid story also.
Ever since Election Day, there's been a volcanic eruption of fake news reports. And I'm thinking it has something to do with the presidential election, that the fake news was meant to influence Trump to win. Has something.
Yeah.
Well,
So
you have to think of the people that believe these stories also.
So-
Who are those types of people?
Well, Facebook released some alleged fake news,
Effing book.
fake news articles that may have influenced the 2016 election in favor of Trump. So that one example of Hillary Clinton, the heading was FBI agent suspected in Hillary email leak found dead in apparent murder-suicide.
That was the one.
People naturally are going to think, oh my God, Hillary Clinton is in some deep shit. So I think I better vote for Donald Trump. And then
Yeah, but didn't you dig in yourself?
Yes.
And we were calling her the godmother, right?
Exactly, and that's what's
all that
that's
fake?
what's frightening is because there are real stories about Clinton's hit list that's been going on for decades, way before this whole fake news extravaganza. But anyways, I'll get back to that. So there were other reports where Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington were Trump supporters. That was fake. But the biggest fake news story was the one about Pope Francis's endorsement of Trump. So that headline read, Pope Francis shocks the world, endorses Donald Trump for president, releases
Did we
statement.
talk about that?
No, we haven't talked about that.
Okay.
And he says in the article, the Pope allegedly stated that the FBI, quote, the FBI in refusing to recommend prosecution after admitting that the law had been broken on multiple occasions by Secretary Clinton has exposed itself as a corrupt political force that has become far too powerful. The Pope said
I
that.
thought there was that story that the Pope was against Trump.
Exactly. So who do you believe? What do you believe now? And
I
that goes.
believe the story that I read, because I didn't see that one.
But other people believe the story where it said that Pope Francis supports Trump.
I believe what I want to
Because it
believe.
was his actual comments in his Sunday address. That's what was quoted. So you can find the quotes.
So the
I mean, I just look. People probably look for things that they want to believe that sound like fit their likings, right? Or the self-fulfilling prophecy.
But how-
You know,
but the-
if you want to get
but the-
philosophical.
The problem is no one's going to get outside of themselves to look at things from an objective standpoint.
Well, that's what journalists are supposed to do.
But it doesn't
Is
seem like
report objectively on and use factual sources and actually call out who their sources are.
But there was money involved, right? I'm sure
yeah.
there's some-
And
yeah.
apparently, I was listening to NPR. The fake news. This is an industry. This is a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah. That's how you can shape the world however you want.
Now, what I thought was really ironic was that before the fake news ushered in, which was several days after the election, the fake news explosion, days before that, there was an actual real piece of staged reality that was set up by Clinton. And I texted you both the woman who went out hiking in the woods. Did you guys hear about that story?
Kind of.
Kind of?
No, I read your text there.
Okay, but did you hear about it before I sent you a text?
No.
Exactly. See, no one's going to hear about this.
Well, I think I did hear about it before.
You did? Okay.
I think they talked about it on Colbert or something.
Is that real?
Well, this came before the fake news blow up. So what happened was 2 days after the election, Okay, everyone was emotionally distraught and depressed that Orange Trump won.
We still are.
We still are, but I mean,
Still.
raw emotions.
Yeah.
We're
Riots.
just going. Everyone. Oh, by the way, that was also apparently fake. The riots, the Facebook posts. Those were fake. Those were fake.
There were some riots
There-
going
I'm
on.
sure there was
any
there
riots.
was
There were
some
some
real,
in San Diego.
No, I'm pretty sure there's some,
so.
but there. I guess many of them were reported to be fake,
Maybe.
and even
Or were they like
They were admitted
real
them.
but actors?
they admitted to them being fake. What's interesting is I saw a video of black guys beating up some white dude who didn't even vote for Trump. They just assumed because he was white he voted for Trump, and they beat him up. That was caught on camera, but mass media didn't report that.
Maybe that was a setup. Maybe that was a fake.
See, I don't know what's real anymore.
But
based
what
on
about all those? What about all those protests in the cities? That was real.
that was
Not
real.
necessarily
That was
riots.
real. That was real. But apparently, George Soros funded those protests. He spent millions of dollars to get people
Who?
out. George Soros. He's a business investor, philanthropist, political activist.
Okay.
He's tied in
So
with
he
the
paid
people
these
that.
people to go protest.
He's also the same guy that funded the Black Lives Matter. So I mean, it was real, but it was created and manufactured by some $1 million white dude.
just like the presidency.
Yeah. Anyways, so going back to that photo story.
In the woods.
In the
Clinton
woods.
Ran into some girl she met 10 years ago.
Her name was Margot Gerster. She went hiking in the woods with her daughters near Clinton's New York home. And she heard a rustling sound, and it turned out that it was Clinton, Hillary and Bill Clinton walking with their dogs.
They heard a rustling.
Now, that's what she said. Now, okay, here's
Really
something
weird.
fishy. What the
Speaking
hell's Clinton doing without her bodyguards?
And where is this at?
This is near the Chappaqua area, near
Chappaqua.
Chappaqua hiking
In
forest land.
what state?
Maybe the
So-
Clintons were gonna commit suicide. or
Maybe.
something. Maybe this Margot saved their lives.
All right, that's possible.
I'm
Convinced
sure
them not
Clinton lost her gasket.
She was really depressed,
I don't know about depressed. She probably banged her head on the wall.
angry, and
emotional.
emotionally pissed. PissedOff.
Pissed.
Why would
How do you spell it?
PISEZOF.
Exclamation point.
So Margot took a photo smiling alongside Clinton. Did you guys? I sent you that photo.
Yeah.
And it went viral on Facebook. Now here's the caption that went along with the photo, and she says, quote, "I've been feeling so heartbroken since yesterday's election and decided what better way to relax than take my girls hiking. So I decided to take them to one of my favorite places in Chappaqua. We were the only ones there, and it was so beautiful and relaxing. As we were leaving, I heard a bit of rustling coming towards me, and as I stepped into the clearing, there she was. Hillary Clinton and Bill with their dogs, doing exactly the same thing as I was. I got to hug her and talk to her and tell her that one of my proudest moments as a mother was taking Phoebe with me to vote for her. She hugged me and thanked me, and we exchanged some sweet pleasantries, and then I let them continue their walk. Now, I'm not one for signs, but I think I'll definitely take this one. So proud. Hashtag I'm still with her. Hashtag love trumps hate. Hashtag keep fighting. Hashtag light follows darkness."
Hashtag.
Hashing.
Now,
So-
I don't know. What do you think about that caption?
I think
That
she was
sounds-
spewing her emotions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I
Out
like
in the
those-
clearing. Out in the
All I'm
clearing.
saying is I'm trying to figure out, because anytime you have news and you'll see stories, especially in sports, you see all these rumors, trade rumors, things about what's going on in certain organizations, who they're having infights with. You always have to question, who does this story give an advantage to? Who's going to have an advantage by this being reported? So you wonder, so what would the Clintons get out of that.
Okay, now, all right, good point. And my immediate intuition, and I fell for this story, and I thought the feeling I got was more or less along the lines that this really makes me feel bad, awful for Clinton. She was so close to winning.
Bring a tear to your eye.
Yeah, to pull my emotional strings, feel even more sorry for Clinton that she was defeated, and that was just the initial reaction I got.
So what'd you do about it?
That's when I sent you guys that Change.org petition to try to get Hillary Clinton reelected.
It took action.
I did. It took action.
Motivated you.
Not that I
did some hashtagging.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it definitely plays with your state of mind. It makes you feel bad for Clinton, and you feel, let's abolish the Electoral College and figure out a way to Trump. Get it? Trump.
The Trump. Hashtag Trump the Trump.
But then I was disillusioned because days later, someone on Twitter discovered that this is not the first time that Margot Gerster encountered Clinton. In fact, Gerster's mother hosted a fundraiser for Senator Clinton at Crabtree's Kittle House in the 2000s. And there's a photo, the one that I sent you, of Margot with her sister and Clinton at that event years ago. And she shared that photo on Facebook, but then she immediately took it down during the week that she bumped into Clinton on the hiking trail.
She forgot it was still there.
Probably. Oops. Gonna be on the hit list.
Oh, okay. I guess I thought they were reuniting or something. So
no,
they weren't. This is supposed to be they'd met for the first time.
Yeah, so, I read it that way. Maybe they spun it after that.
What do you mean?
Like, they ran into each other again. What are the odds?
But why didn't she say? But she made it sound like this is the first time she met her. This person who happened to bump into Clinton, her mom, hosted a fundraiser.
I think what we have to do then is let's see what happens. If the Electoral College decides to not vote for Trump, or if Trump somehow gets impeached at some point, then we'll know this really was fake.
Yeah,
and it was used to manipulate the public to try to get Clinton elected.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a futile effort, though. In a way, it's a story like that. You'd have to have a bombardment of these stories for it to really impact this election. Well, it's done. What's done is done.
I don't know. I don't think this story was trivial. The Margot Gerster even got death threats for supposedly, allegedly framing this as a real story.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I know it's fake.
Well, anybody who's anti-Trump is going to get a death threat. So that's not.
It's fake, but it's not enough to turn around the election.
I mean, if it were a fake story, this was Hillary Clinton's administration was involved with it.
And it probably was, but I think just somebody got paid some dollars, and that was it. I mean, it was just all profit driven from somebody.
Yeah,
it's propaganda for sure, but it's not gonna change anything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where there's fake news that supported Trump, and there's fake news that supported Clinton. That fake news happened to be too little too late because it was after the election. And all the fake news that came before the election helped Trump, including possible stuff about maybe the Russians hacked the election, the electronic voting systems.
Yeah, that was going on.
We don't know.
Yeah, that was going on weeks before the election, that the Russian hackers they're worried that Russian hackers were manipulating the voting machines.
Right. And Trump still believes that the election was rigged. The popular vote was rigged by about 3 million votes.
He would have gotten he would have gotten 3 million more votes if all these illegal undocumented workers hadn't voted in Arizona. No, but I think the Clintons are trying to get an independent investigator to look into the possibility of that voting.
Well, that was mostly
Jill
Stein.
Jill Stein initiated it, right?
Oh, was it Jill Stein?
But then Clinton followed suit, and she was going to do the recount in Wisconsin.
I wouldn't put that past Russia because they did hack into both conventions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they may have hacked some of those voting systems, not by Trump's orders or anything. Trump's probably ignorant of it, but I think the Russians definitely played a role in how the results were counted.
So there's not a causal relationship, but there's a correlation. Like for all the swing states, what was it, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, all of those, or certain swing states, they have a certain amount of electronic systems that help count these votes.
Where do you get? Because I've never seen these.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we have those electronic systems?
Oh, I don't know. Some states have that where they can count it electronically. And what, I don't know if Jill Stein's, was it Green Party?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of her folks, they saw that for all of these specific swing states that have these electronic counting, there was a certain number or percentage that Trump had, I guess, forged ahead by. And it was about the same for each state. Now, NPR talked about it.
So they created
NPR reported it, or was it a fake story that passing along as NPR? Someone doing a High Nasally impression.
No, I get all my news from NPR.
Well, what makes you think NPR is completely
no, I'm not saying they are
reliable?
It's just they may or may not be. I don't know.
Anyway, so the Russian hackers created algorithms to manipulate the data, the numbers somehow.
Possible.
And how do you suspect that certain machines are prone to that or susceptible to those attacks, cyber attacks?
Oh, they're not saying that there's no evidence to support that.
This is just based on a hunch or suspicion?
Based on a correlation between those swing states and those electronically controlled.
And they're willing to throw out millions of dollars to do the recount.
I guess.
It's insane.
Yeah, if there's something to it. I know the New York Times, some writers there wanted to focus more on this story about Russia hacking the convention and how they're influencing the election. Mm-hmm. This was before the results, but the New York Times didn't want to spend the time looking into it because they didn't feel like there was sufficient evidence for it. But that's the type of thing that, if you're doing strong journalism, you would look into something like that, because that's a pretty big deal.
It is.
Another country trying to manipulate the United States election system.
I just would assume that if you're willing to spend millions of dollars to do a recount, you should have hard, reliable evidence.
Well, Trump wants it himself too, right? I think Trump is going to go for this recount. Or, he just claims he is,
to get the popular vote,
says stuff, He just kind of throws out things and
probably in his best interest too.
Yeah, because he's not popular. Maybe 40% popular. That's popular.
I don't know. I think they should have been pumping more fake news his way to get more votes.
So here's a quote from George Orwell. "The very concept of objective truth is fading out of the world. Lies will pass into history." My theory about this fake news story explosion is a distraction to make it difficult, if not impossible, for people to mark the distinction between what's true and what's false. And those who control the world are, I think, realizing that people like me are digging up dirt about the US government and the media. So, for example, Clinton's kill list that's been around for decades. So how do the controllers react? They hire organizations, maybe Russian hackers, to manufacture fake news about FBI agents being killed after investigating Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server. Therefore, when an average person stumbles upon a real non-fake story, such as the one on Victor Thorne, an investigative reporter and prominent Clinton researcher who allegedly committed suicide, the average Joe will automatically rule that as another typical fake news report. And it turns out that the controllers of mass media are accusing anyone who dares to challenge the status quo as an unreliable source. In fact, they're already creating a list of websites or independent news media organizations, and they discredit them as fake or as a false source of information. The irony is that the mainstream media is already spilling out fake news on a weekly basis. So now they want you to think that their fake real stories are real and the other stories are fake.
Huh? Can you repeat that?
So what we have
Draw a
here,
diagram.
what we have here are two types of stories in the world: real fake news. That's the mainstream media, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, versus
What's real? Okay, real fake is ABC.
is ABC. Like the Orlando shooting, that's fake news, but they want you to think that it's real news. So it's real fake news.
The Orlando shooting didn't happen?
No, that was false. We talked about that already. Remember, we spent the whole episode, I was talking about how it was framed by the FBI and the CIA?
Well, we talked about how that's a conspiracy theory, but I don't know if we confirmed that it was fake.
Well, we can't really confirm it unless we're physically there, right? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well,
We're just hearing all types of outlets, random outlets
okay.
of stuff.
Here's a clip from 1975, where the United States Senate Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activities found that the CIA submitted stories to the American press and admitted to implementing the usage of disinformation tactics against America's own population. So I'm going to play a clip. And the first voice you'll hear is Senator Frank Church, a Democrat from Idaho, making a statement at a press conference who's part of the investigation. And then it will cut to someone from the House Intelligence Committee hearing, asking several questions. And then the third voice you'll hear is Sig Mickelson, the CBS president at the time, who admits that the relationships at CBS with the CIA had been long established before he became president.
I thought that it was a matter of real concern that planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here, because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. Now, we're looking at that very carefully.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to a major circulation American journal?
We do have people who submit pieces to American journals.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS, we had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
We have quite a lot of detailed information, and we will evaluate it, and we will include any evidence of wrongdoing or any evidence of impropriety in our final report and make recommendations.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are contributing to the national news services, AP and UPI?
Well, again, I think we're getting into the kind of detail, Mr. Chairman, that I'd prefer to handle in executive session.
Senator, do you think that you named the news organizations in your final report?
That remains to be decided.
I think it was entirely in order for our correspondents at that time to make use of CIA agent chiefs of station and other members of the executive staff of CIA as sources of information which were useful in their assessments of world conditions.
Would you say that continues today?
Well, I would think probably for a reporter it would continue today, but because of all of the revelations of the period of the 1970s, it seems to me that a reporter's got to be much more circumspect in doing it now, or he runs the risk of at least being looked at with considerable disfavor by the public. I think you've got to be much more careful about it.
There you go.
Well, but is that real fake?
Well, who knows? You never know.
Yeah, where'd you find that?
Yeah.
Secret
The audio clips.
Secret source. I can't tell you. It's top secret information.
Was that ABC News?
No,
Was it on Facebook?
it was an independent news website.
I mean, it could be
Reddit?
real. Could
no,
be real.
no. Shoot, I
Reddit?
thought I had it right here.
Well,
Was it
there
from-
were. I mean,
So,
yeah, that sounds like it could have been an organized thing.
the point I wanted to make is that apparently the U.S. government have been directly responsible for disinformation. The mainstream press involved with the CIA, American journalists collaborated with them in an effort to fabricate and distribute fake news for their advantage for whatever
And
reason.
this was when in the 70s.
Yeah, this was a 1975. I'll post the website on ASP Stuff Radio, and there's
Are we
whole
going to get
News-
viruses?
Yeah. What news were they fabricating?
But I think this article was just pointing out that American journalism doesn't work independently of government agencies. The CIA contacts them and tells them to create
Well,
false stories.
I don't know how much they do that, but for the most part, they should. Like I said, it's more about the watering down of journalism than really the fact that it's fake. It's just everybody's a journalist now, and that's really just posting something on a blog or these websites like Reddit. It's anybody can do it.
Oh yeah, with the
And nobody has to abide by the foundational rules of journalism. So everyone's just spewing off whatever they want, and people read it like it's real. It used to be like I don't really know if you remember back like 12, 15 years ago, that one New York Times reporter was writing fake stories so that he could get more popular. But stuff like that happens. But it's more that journalism is losing its true values. And there's really now people who actually work for these organizations aren't following those rules. They don't have to, because that's not what gets clicks. It's all about getting clicks, clickbait.
especially
You come up with these links that say certain things and people click on them, so you can make advertising dollars, because the more clicks you get, the more money you get from advertising. So it's just all about trying to get those clicks.
And the landscape is changing in journalism too, especially with Donald Trump, our president-elect, who's tweeting random things off the cuff, whether it's true or false.
Yeah, that's not journal. I mean, that's just stupidity and unprofessionalism. That's the way. I mean, you have that outlet now. You have Twitter, you have Facebook, you have
Periscope.
you have all these ways that you can express yourself now. And typically people who are in that high of an office don't use those things, because they know how that can have a backlash, a negative effect. It shows who you really are if you think about it. A lot of the things that he's posting have negative connotations or giving people bad feelings, like the stuff about the flag burning. Yeah,
What was about the flag burning? I didn't.
I think he said something like people who burn the flag should lose their citizenship. So this is what Bernie Sanders was saying, that shows.
There goes our First Amendment.
Yeah, pretty much. Here's a president who has this view that if you disagree with him, you should lose your rights. And that's really scary. That the person who is representing, and I don't like to use the word leading because you can't really lead, but the person who's representing our country, because it's a democracy, has those viewpoints. A very dictatorship type of viewpoint.
But
A demagogue.
It is what works, right? This is all what works. And again, he played the game with the election, with the electoral college, and it's what works. And
possibly fake news too.
Yeah, the fake news works, and telling a story that all these ignorant people are going to believe. I mean, they're going to eat it up. What did he just do? He just guaranteed 1,000 jobs for this company Carrier in Indiana. It's not policy he's doing. He's just getting together with the people who own this company, and he's just promising 1,000 jobs. He didn't do anything for the industry. He just did it for one company. But these people in these Rust Belters, they believe now their jobs are safe because he did it for one company. And it's just, all he has to do is show an example or say something that they want to believe, and kind of like how we start out, George Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it.
It's not a lie if you believe it.
All he really has to do is do something minor in their favor, and they're going to eat it up.
Like Thanksgiving turkey.
That leads me to we could dedicate a whole episode on the things Trump said during the campaign, and then he turned his back on them. But the one I think is hilarious is what's the one thing that everyone was excited about when Trump was running for president?
Throwing Hillary Clinton in jail.
No,
the wall, the big wall.
Yeah.
Or
locking her up.
Oh, before I get into that, I have this other crackpot theory that those tweets, Donald Trump, first of all, we don't know if that's really Donald Trump, but let's assume that it is him.
And when it's the real Donald Trump.
When he
says so.
Does it really say that?
No.
Oh,
that's his Twitter handle.
Oh, really? It's called the real Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I think that whenever he tweets something, that's a distraction from what's really going on behind the scenes. Trump's wheeling and dealing, doing something like going to court to pay off millions of dollars to settle suit for that rape allegation or whatever.
Yeah.
That's my theory. I think he's just doing that to get journalists all caught up in the superficial nonsense.
President tweeted something.
Yeah,
everybody look.
Yeah,
it's a distraction.
Yeah, that's what I think.
NPR was on that, right?
Oh, really?
What did they?
Oh, so then it's not a crackpot theory. So they said that it's a distraction.
Yeah, he'll. I don't know, something serious about policy will come up, like him doing this 180 that he's going to not repeal Obamacare, right? So he starts getting drilled pretty hard about it. And then he'll tweet something about, I don't know,
his hairpiece.
Illegal immigrants voting.
Yeah, and then it'll just distract everybody from what was the topic at hand, Obamacare. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have to, people won't focus in on it, and he'll just a random tweet, and everybody will start thinking, talking. Media outlets will start,
let's start a situation room. Donald Trump.
All right, tweets. Come up with something to distract these people.
Did you saw that SNL clip last week with he was in the Oval Office or something, and he was like. All these people were coming up to him, and he's just getting stressed out. Like, how the hell am I gonna?
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, go watch it. It's oh yeah, he goes on his laptop and he's googling ISIS. What is ISIS? Trying to figure out because he doesn't know, and I don't know.
Okay, well, so I'm gonna go back to the wall thing where he just says these bold lies, but the Rust Belters take it as if it's the truth. So he vowed, he says, quote, I'm going to build a big, beautiful wall on the nation's southern border, and insisting that Mexico would be forced to pay for it.
I will build the greatest wall that you've ever seen. 3,000 years ago, right? The Great Wall of China was built. We'd like to have that wall. That wall, nobody gets through. That I can tell you.
And then the 60 News interview, the 60-minute interview of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Here's what he says.
Are you really going to build a wall?
Yes.
They're talking about a fence in the Republican Congress.
Sure.
Would you accept a fence?
For certain areas I would, but certain areas the wall is more appropriate. I'm very good at this. It's called construction.
So basically he wants to build a fence.
Sounds like Joe Pesci.
I know.
China.
I will build.
But, well, I mean, he talks about the Great Wall of China.
The Great Fence of China, or the Great Fence.
No. But, I mean, think about, I don't know, we got to look up how long it took to build this Great Wall of China. That was built by slaves, by the way, right? I think at least 2,000 miles long, maybe longer. I don't know.
But what were they trying to keep out?
Illegal immigrants.
The Huns.
Yeah.
The Huns, yeah. I guess
Invading Huns.
they didn't want the other countries to invade them.
It was a protection against nomad invaders.
There you go. But it wasn't costly to the government to whoever was the emperor,
It's cheap
right?
labor, right?
It's cheap labor. It's free labor. Here, it's not going to be free labor, right?
Yeah, you could probably
somebody's
build
got to
that
get
wall in a month now.
He could have illegal immigrants build their own wall to keep them out. That's pretty cheap.
Mexico
labor.
will not only pay for it, but they'll build it.
They'll build it, and he's going to give him a free ride to the United States.
Maybe, hopefully, they'll be
Now
on
they
the
have to
right
get
side
back
of the
in
wall.
line.
Maybe they'll be building it on the American side, and they'll trap themselves into America. And
Oops, can't get back.
okay, sorry, the wall's too good. You gotta stay here.
Final thoughts on this fake news, real news craziness.
Just look out for your sources. Watch what you read, who's reporting it, and keep in mind who's going to get the edge with that being reported. Who's going to take advantage of that?
And I don't think this concept that news is fake is new. I think countries, governments, dictators have always dished out propaganda to their people.
Correct, but I just don't know why this is all of a sudden becoming a new thing.
Well, it's social media.
Social media has changed the landscape.
Yeah. So it's done in a different way. The news has evolved. Propaganda has evolved.
Everybody can create it now.
Yeah. Anybody can. Yeah. There you go.
This radio show is all fake. Everything
Yeah,
we're
it
talking
could
about
be.
is not real. Like Hideko is not real, by the
We
way.
could just start saying things happen that didn't really happen.
I think Hideko is
Like a UFO just landed in our backyard, and there were some aliens in it, and they took over
Trump's
the complex
body.
here.
I should
You
do
would
that.
have no idea if that's true or not.
Yeah. So we're living in a world of a truth crisis.
Well, you could go to religion and open up that can of worms. And wasn't there some great meeting way back when where they modified what's going to be in the Bible and what's not going to be in the Bible? And
Council of Nicene.
there you go.
Wait, what? They want to modify the Bible?
No, they created it. They put it together.
Oh.
They took all the books.
Yeah, it was.
and-
I think it was right after the Crusades or something like that. Killed off a bunch of people, and they decided that this is what's going to be in the Bible, and this is what's not.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they killed people.
I thought you
for it.
meant-
that was the Crusades, right?
I thought you meant that's what they're gonna do today. They're gonna hey, let's take out.
I'm just trying to draw a comparison. There's always been fake news or fake propaganda.
But
fake
my crackpot theory, and I should emphasize crackpot, that the only real news on the tube is stuff on pets, what do you call Girl Scout cookies,
I don't know about
fundraising.
that. Girl Scout cookies gets very controversial.
Something very minor or trivial, or maybe an occasional homicide in a bad part of town.
People are not really getting murdered.
But the terrorist attacks, Orlando shooting, all that crap, I honestly believe that's just a staged event to create a false flag so that the government has an excuse to invade or attack other countries. That's just my crackpot theory.
I think it's more like what Paulato here. It's a figment of the truth.
I don't even think you can have a grain of salt or a figment of a truth because there is no truth.
Salt.
No, I don't even think you can have grains of salt if there's no truth.
Boulder of salt.
No, if there's no truth, there's no grain of salt.
Boulder of salt.
There's no.
Yeah.
I think it's a spin on the truth.
A mix of truth and falsity? A blend?
It's a myth. Yeah, there you go.
A cocktail of
the cocktail.
Okay. So people did die, but it was all fake?
Maybe people did die, but not as many.
Yeah, I don't know if you can. I mean, you'd have to do some digging, right? Confirm that people who were told were reported dead, see if they're still alive, right? Check out those records, see what happened to them. If you can confirm that it was fake, but until then, I don't know if you can really say that other than to say that maybe that story was used for someone's gain. Somebody manipulated the story and said, oh, well, here was this Orlando shooting. It was ISIS that did it. Mm-hmm. Let's go after ISIS, rather than it was these couple guys who did it. Or someone saying it was only 2 lone wolves when really it was ISIS. That's the stuff that could get manipulated. But it's hard to fake hundreds of deaths. It's really difficult.
I mean, what was 9/11, right? There weren't planes, explosions.
It's
there were
very
no planes.
difficult to construct that stuff. But they can at least take an event and spin it, like you said, spin the story however they want to get people fired up one way or the other.
So the spin is that there were planes, but I mean, there was actually explosion.
Okay, but there were no planes, there were explosions. If you look at the video carefully and play in slow motion, you can see that the planes melt nicely into
like a butter knife,
like butter. And even the stupid idiot newscast reporters say that metaphor. They just appear to melt right into the building like butter.
That's very descriptive.
But planes don't do that. It's physically impossible.
And then the wing kind of went like in front or behind a random building.
Yeah. I don't know, because I don't know if you can say there. So many people live in Manhattan, and that all thousands of the people there were duped that there were no planes.
Well, but if you paid enough people, to be accurate.
Wait, one at a time. I just heard a garbled bunch.
Who's taking advantage of the way the story is being spun? It's like that's what you have to look at. What are they gaining from it?
Well, they got
we know going to Iraq was a mistake. We know all these years later it was wrong, and the people who duped everyone into thinking it was a good idea, they got their way. And at this point, to say that it's something else or it's not really going to change the fact that 3,000 people died.
And nearly 4 million people in Iraq, Pakistan, Somalia, and other countries.
Not to mention the tens of thousands of U.S. soldiers. And so it's like, what? I don't understand the point in
trying to fake it.
And trying to, because it doesn't change anything.
So
it doesn't.
At this point, it doesn't. Yeah. Maybe if they had released all that information 15 years ago, it would have done something.
Yeah, I'm just a pessimist. I just think the world is controlled and everything's fake.
Well, what's
staged.
worse, if 3,000 people's lives were faked or their deaths were faked, or if they didn't, nobody died.
Well,
I'm sure some people died.
If someone's gonna go in and dig up do the research and check on that. Did Sally Joseph, whatever her name was, did she die?
Yeah, did those 3,000 people die?
You do that research. Someone can dig that up and figure that out.
Yep.
Until then, I don't.
But who's gonna believe you in this day and age? Who's gonna believe you?
That's why I was I introduced this episode as saying that there's no such thing as truth anymore. Objective truth does not exist anymore. In a postmodern world,
exists. It's
hidden.
Who is trying to manipulate it? And why? That's what I'm trying to say.
Even if Sally did uncover the truth, she's the only one who's going to believe it. Who else is going to believe her?
Wait, what?
Who else is going to... Paulato mentioned this Sally random...
okay. Made up name.
Hypothetical reporter or journalist.
No, I'm saying one of the victims. If you can find one of the victims was reported dead... But they actually are alive.
But
how are you going to do that, though?
You got to start doing the research. That's what journalism is.
But here's now I'm going to pop the bubble of hope and optimism. Like I said months ago, that the government is suppressing the internet now. We're only having access to the tip of the iceberg. The true information, the hidden information lies deep beneath. They call it the deep web or the dark web. There are multiple levels of the internet. So if you want access to that crucial information, you need to be part of a secret organization or a hacker to dig deep underneath the surface of the internet. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
But if
unless you go in the library or whatever, and
right.
I don't know, you're not going to find it in the internet.
But you can't keep everything
The
secret.
internet's not a reliable source.
No.
Yeah, but you can't keep everything secret. I mean, you can't keep killing off everybody that knows the truth.
But that's
Well, maybe
why
you could.
That's why my theory holds that the mainstream media wants to create this fake news story about fake news organizations. So now you don't know who to believe unless it's the mainstream.
And that's why it's so hard. You either have to choose to live in paranoia or not, or dig up the facts,
Or let God handle everything.
or like.
All right, let's do a little game of Turkey wants to eat human being.
Okay.
What? That's not lighthearted.
Turkey's taking over.
So imagine an extremely hungry and highly intelligent turkey from another galaxy knocks on your door and argues that you would be perfect for his family's Thanksgiving dinner. Now, he gives you 5 arguments in favor of eating you, and here they are. And you have to debunk
I think I remember this.
any one of these. So the turkey says, "My turkey religion, Turkey Hanagab, says that our species shall have dominion over humans." Number 2, "I've been brought up eating humans." Number 3, "I love the way human meat tastes." Number 4, "I need protein that is provided in human meat." Number 5, "Our turkey species is more intelligent than humans." What can you say to convince this intelligent turkey from another planet that eating you for his Thanksgiving dinner would be morally wrong?
So we have to debunk all 5?
Anyone you want.
Okay.
You have to come up with a good counter argument
Can't we just take out our gun and shoot it?
He's a big, huge turkey.
Huge.
Whose turkey jowl has gripped you by the throat.
Oh, no.
Turkey jowl.
What is that called? The giblet?
The
The giblet. The giblet portion.
The
No,
giblet
it's not the giblet.
has you he has you turned upside down. He's got the giblet wrapped around.
That's the
your
thing that
ankle.
makes the go.
Yeah.
Is it on the top or the bottom?
The bottom.
The wrap around from the top down to the
It's
bottom?
like a Trump's hairpiece, kind of.
It does, yeah.
It's all over the place.
So we taste good.
So Turkey says, "I love way human meat tastes."
Well, I just say I'm actually one of those bitter flavored.
You're a GMO modified human.
Yeah, well, I've been overspiced or something. I've been
eating bad food, and you could possibly give the turkey cancer.
there you go.
Okay, so you're a rancid human.
Or soured or something.
Okay. And so then the turkey says, "Okay, let me have a sample of your leg."
You've been
No,
taking
I'm expired. I'm
Botox.
expired. I'm like
You've
milk.
been taking Botox, and you contain the botulism.
That can kill
the
turkeys. There you go. That's very highly and deadly,
That would
lethal
work.
to turkeys. All right, that might work.
Would that work?
Sure. So he releases you from
His jowl opens up.
All right, Paulato's turn.
I would say so.
So you want
He
me to?
said that he holds what dominion over?
Yeah. My turkey religion, Turkey Hanagab, says that our species shall have dominion over humans.
Well, I would say that's probably true in your planet, but now you're here on Earth, and we have our own god, and we have dominion over you.
There you go. He
shot you.
shot him. No, the turkey. Paul shot the turkey.
Oh. Well, but it's a big turkey. A little gunshot. You might have to have a nuke. They're highly intelligent turkeys.
So what was your argument?
Yeah, Alberotle.
Okay, so I've been brought up eating humans. Turkey, Mr. Turkey, that's not really an argument. That's more of an explanation for why you eat humans, but that's not a justification for eating humans. That's just an explanation.
This human talks too much. Sounds like Chomsky.
That's an appeal. That's an appeal. That's an appeal to tradition. Just because you've done something for a long time, that doesn't make it morally right. I was raised to stomp on babies and puppies,
but
that
the
doesn't
sun
make
will rise tomorrow.
That doesn't make
so
it.
then the turkey would be like, actually, now that I think about it, you're right.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind that this is a highly intelligent turkey, so he is able to
sound intelligent.
Yeah,
that's true.
He needs to work on his English.
Sounds like a caveman.
Our turkey species is more intelligent than humans.
I thought highly intelligent alien turkey species they speak telepathically. They don't use voices.
Maybe he was. It's in your head. You hear the voice.
Well, I think you could say with the turkey species being more intelligent, you could argue that, Mr. Turkey, if you are so intelligent, then you would know, better than I could know, that it is morally wrong to eat humans. Wouldn't you have a good reason, a moral argument for not eating humans?
I don't know. Who has the bigger, badder gun? That's
the bigger, better, intelligent brain?
No.
The more sophisticated weapon.
Democracy is more intelligent than a dictatorship, right? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You fall asleep and be killed.
All right, you got one more chance to redeem yourself, Steveocrates.
What? I survived.
Oh, with the rancid meat?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. Yeah. No.
I'm alive.
All right, so you both succeeded. Very good. You've passed the test.
Did Alberotle succeed with his Chomskyan explanation logic?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. you should try that with your students.
So I did use this on my student, not the turkey one, but I had it where it was an intelligent being from another planet, and I think
what were some of their examples?
Well, one of them, who was a vegetarian, started cracking up laughing because she knew what I was getting at, because the class knows I'm a vegetarian, and I was using this to come up with arguments to explain why it would be wrong to eat human meat, and so they can see objectively, oh, wait a minute, these are the very same arguments I can use to explain why it's immoral to eat non-humans. That was the whole point.
You're spreading your own propaganda through a philosophy exercise?
Yeah. Well, I mentioned I made that announcement at the beginning of class. I said the only thing I'm not going to remain neutral is the eating meat thing. Me being a vegetarian.
Did you tell them about the turkey insemination?
No, I didn't tell them. I should though. I should just play that.
People could get offended from that.
Masturbate male turkeys. Turkey inseminator.
You could play that. What, that was with Krauss that Singer was arguing with, or
Peters? Yeah, Krauss and Singer should upload that in the class discussion board.
That'll gross people out, but it's the truth.
What is the truth?
Fake.
I don't know what the
is
truth.
Is it fake truth?
Singer made that up.
Nah, Singer does his research. He's very thorough, just like Chomsky. He's an encyclopedia of knowledge.
I don't know.
Did he actually visit those manufacturing plants?
Singer?
Yeah.
I don't know, but he said his friend reported it to him.
Oh, his friend.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Singer needs to go there himself and do the job.
Get employed as a turkey masturbator.
Should do it. That's not real journalism.
That's the only way you're gonna find out. Get into the real.
Get your hand. Get handy.
Get your hands literally dirty with some turkey semen.
All right.
I think we finished.
Stuffed up.
What are you stuffed up with?
Turkey.
Turkey
We
stuff.
are all stuffed up with turkey.
I am all stuffed up with
vegetable lasagna.
Vegetable lasagna.
There you go.
Mock meat.
End on a high note.
This is ASP Stuff Radio. We are all stuffed up with veggie lasagna.
I will build the greatest wall that you've ever seen. The Great Wall of China.
The male actually just physically cannot get it into the female. So how is it that there are more turkeys of these breeds? Because there are unfortunate workers whose sole job it is all day is to masturbate male turkeys and collect the semen, and other workers whose job it is to grab the female turkeys and inject the semen into them. He applied for a job as a turkey inseminator. He lasted one day in that job. He said it was the worst, filthiest, hardest day's work he ever did. He's grabbing them, trying to inseminate them, and if he doesn't do it fast enough, he gets kicked and abused by the people above him. So, of course, not Jim, but most of the workers at the bottom of that pecking order will take it out on the birds as well. Think about that before you order your Thanksgiving turkey. Again, do you really want to participate in this practice, which is created just so that Americans can eat more turkey breast meat?
I will build the Great Wall of China